Good morning. Oh, this is our last week focusing on the Zen Commandments, the book by Dean Slater, a book of 10 suggestions for a life of inner freedom. Inner freedom, you might say, is the focus of Zen Buddhism and also of this author, Dean Slater. And this week is the 9th chapter in the book. There are 10 chapters. The 9th chapter's title is Unjoining the Dots. And the chapter begins like this. We see water, a few small sloops and rowboats, a grove, a park, 3 dogs, some 24 people in bustles or top hats, lounging or strolling, some with parasols, one with a pet monkey on a leash. He's describing a scene from a very famous painting by Seurat, the pointillist painter from the 1800s. The painting is called The Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte, and I brought it along with me for you. Here it is. Lovely, very famous. But when we take a closer look at the painting, get up close, real close, we won't see people and pets and parks and places. No. Just little points of color, dots, by themselves meaningless. Our eyes, however, are able to connect all the dots to create familiar images. So let's get real close to the painting, okay? Some view of the detail, what it might look like if we were to get really close to it. Just meaningless dots by themselves. Oh, you might say, that dot is ugly. Oh, that dot, that other one, it offends me. That dot, it's got a tone of voice that I'm not sure I get. That dot is aggressive. That dot is beautiful. That dot's desirable. I just don't like that dot. But they're just dots. Dots, simply dots, and they mean to us whatever we wish them to mean. We really do have to step away from the dots. Step back to get the whole picture and see what it is. You might say that the dots need our projection in order to become meaningful. They need our interpretation to mean something. I had a teacher, I mention her frequently because she told me, we are all graduates of MSU, making stuff up. And we're rather good at it. We're experts at making stuff up, especially in the absence of meaning, because we cannot stand meaninglessness. So in the absence of meaning, we create it, just so that things mean something. My mother used to say to my father, "What do you mean by that?" Oh, and when we heard that phrase, we knew she had already made up her mind what it meant, and it wasn't going to be good. And then he had to go through this long process of explaining to her how that one detail she was focusing down on was not really part of the overall meaning of what he was going for. That she had decided that his tone of voice meant something that really it didn't have to. She was joining the dots in a way that resulted in a different picture from what everybody else was seeing. Anybody? Just a little bit. Yeah. Like this picture, which is either a bearded man or a man sitting in a field. It's either 2 eyes of a man or it's 2 houses, all depending on what you're looking for. Now I've lost you. But that was like my mom. We could lose her. We could lose her in the dots because she had the uncanny ability to focus on the one weak spot of his presentation and make it mean something that he really didn't intend. Have you heard that expression, you're making a mountain out of a molehill? Yeah, exactly. That's when we focus on minor dots instead of the big picture. Someone cuts you off on the freeway, steps in front of you in line, or somebody doesn't agree to do what they said they would do, or somebody doesn't invite you to their Thanksgiving thingy, or not as many people show up to your Thanksgiving thingy as you thought they would, or your customers aren't using your services like you would hope, or they're not paying for your services in a timely manner. You know, the normal pesky things that can bother normal people, but we get over them because they are molehills, dots. But sometimes we can be more bothered than usual. We can get downright upset. And the more somebody tries to talk us out of it, right, the more it becomes really set. It can turn into a full-on battle. Okay, it was a molehill before, but now it is a mountain. And it's going to take a lot of energy to get around it now. Oh, it is possible. It is possible to focus on minor details and make them into something more than what they have to mean. And I think when that happens, it is very easy to be distracted from the larger picture. For example, I took this selfie of me. What? Lovely. Obviously, if we take a closer look at it, we're going to see that it's made up of little square photos. It's a mosaic. And if we get real close to it, we'll see that the little square photos may or may not be related to the big picture. There's all kinds of stuff in there. If we focus in on my eye, we'll see, oh my goodness, there's a carton of eggs in there. There are flowers from the Golden Gate Park. There are people from the Center for Spiritual Living. There are friends, and but what, a carton of eggs? I could get stuck on that. I could get stuck on the image of the carton of eggs. I could get offended by that. How did that get in there? That's ruining the whole picture now. But I'd be missing the point. I created this mosaic from photos on my iPhone, and as I was creating it, I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, what if there are some messy photos? Because you know how it is. Who knows what you snapped? Don't worry, don't look too hard. I cleaned up all of the messy parts. I wasn't that brave just to give you unrestricted access to my iPhone photo roll. But it made me think about life. The point of life is that beautiful lives really do include messy photos. There are really messy moments in a beautiful life. I mean, in reality, when we get close and look at life, we may see that ant that doesn't talk to you. You may see that incident that you really wish didn't happen. You may see a carton of eggs and not remember where it came from. You may seem to see something and can't remember what it is, but you're certain it means something. Or you may see that picture of yourself with too many chins that you wish everybody would delete. Or you may see that picture with the too many, or whatever it is, and all of it is necessary to create the bigger picture. And that is actually the meaning of whole, perfect, and complete. That means nothing excluded, nothing missing, everything in its place. The good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, the wonderful. It's all part of the whole. And this book, it explores the idea that life is a series of dots, sensory data, and we make the connections. And when we make the connections, that's how we make meaning out of the raw material. And it turns out that the meaning that one person makes, that makes sense to one person, makes a different sense to a different person. That's how it turns out. We can see that when different cultures get together. What can be a friendly gesture over here could be quite offensive over there. Well, which one's real? I learned that in Indonesia, When I first started going there, some of the young guides, we became friends, and I would grab them on the shoulder and ruffle their heads as a sign of friendship. And I noticed over time they kept on getting further and further away from me because they didn't know what to do with me. And finally they had to call me aside and said, please, we really like you, but we can't be close to you because you keep on touching us on the head. You see, in Indonesia, the head is the most sacred part of the body. You don't ruffle anybody's hair. That's super rude. Ugh. So peace and freedom comes when we begin to understand that meaning is created by joining dots. And other meaning can be created by joining dots differently. And, most importantly, that no meaning I can come up with my dot joining can ever be as awesome as reality. It's quite difficult to be happy and free if I'm not flexible with what things mean. Oh, if I'm not willing to disconnect the dots sometimes, it's very difficult to be happy. And if I am willing to disconnect the dots, then really what I'm doing is I'm allowing reality to be boundless and have a much larger meaning than anything I can project upon it. So I'm learning to pay attention to what it is that I'm telling myself about what is going on. The dots I'm joining. I pay special attention to those moments in life that tweak me, because I've learned that that's where the gold is. That's where it is. So it's an example that I use over and over again because it really made an impression on me. And I use it in the self-mastery class, which, by the way, is coming up next year in January. It starts with Diane Topania in the evenings. And then I'm starting in February in the daytime. And by the way, young adults can take the class for free, and there are all sorts of other discounts. There are senior discounts. There are discounts for the teachers who teach in the youth and family program, and there are discounts for people who are redoing the class auditing. So go and find out about that in the social hall. Really a wonderful class. And in this class, what we study is our own reactivity. And when we are in reaction, what is it that we are projecting on reality? So the example that I use in the class is this. True story. I'm standing right out there, the greeting line as people are leaving, and there's one lady who hadn't been at the center for a long time. She's visiting again. She had moved out of town. She comes to me and she's talking to me, all happy to be back. And in the middle of her talking, she stops and she looks at me and she says, "Oh, you aren't 30 anymore, are you?" Did it tweak me? So pay attention, I tell myself, yes, because then it's for me, because right there is where the gold is. Somewhere right there. Now, what am I going to do with this little dot on the big canvas? Am I going to do what my mother did? Focus down on it? Or will I try to disconnect the dots of meaning and see if there is something else available that is even more amazing than the meaning I am putting on it? Okay, another example. True story. A visitor, I don't know about these visitors. No, we love visitors. We love visitors. Just not this one. No, we love this visitor. So we're standing in line. I'm standing in line. The visitor comes. He says to me, I haven't been here before. It's my first time. But I got to tell you, I don't think I'll be coming back. Because, you're just not connected to your heart. I don't feel it. Did it tweak me? Well, that's where the gold is then, right? That's where it is, right over there. Yeah, it tweaked me. But all by itself, this dot is not the entire me. Oh, it's part of a mosaic. It's a carton of eggs in the big picture. Now, I'm not dealing with whether or not each of these statements are accurate or inaccurate or kind or unkind. No, that's a whole nother message. I'm just paying attention to, when I'm tweaked, what happens. And what meaning do I put in and pull out of that which is actually empty? and meaningless. Ooh. Can I let the moments that tweak me be empty of meaning? Now, in the book, he says emptiness doesn't mean like a grim vacuum. It's not like a black hole of nothingness. No, emptiness in this case means freedom to be boundless, expansive, unlimited by description and projection. That's what empty means. Do you know that Valentine's Day poem? It goes, roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are. Well, the author's wife gave him a Zen version of the same poem. Roses are empty. Violets are empty. Sugar is empty. And so are you. See, it's an in-joke between two people who love each other because she's alluding to the Buddhist idea of emptiness in the sense of having no boundaries, that kind of emptiness, lacking specific definition. In other words, much, much more than any description can give to it. Vast, limitless, expansive, amazing. A rose is so much more than red. And how that is useful is that it can remind me to keep on growing up, to keep on broadening my horizons, not just to take things as they are handed to me, not just take things even if they are handed to me by my reactions, to keep seeing new possibilities and new meaning and to make a solid attempt to see people and things and events in a new light, in a larger light, in a more favorable light. Like when the lady says to me, "You're not 30 anymore." Can I let that be empty of my reaction? Because if I do, maybe I can see that it's actually just an accurate statement. It's true. I can take it at face value. It's a dot on a painting. Now I can agree with the statement and I can step away from the analysis of that person's character and her intention and who she is. Now I can explore what am I telling myself about my own age and how I'm supposed to look, thanks to the home delivery service of the friendly universe. Or when the man says to me, "You're not connected to your heart." Can I let it be empty of my projections? Yes, I can absolutely see how that is an accurate statement sometimes. Sometimes I fear intimacy and I withdraw and I build a wall around me, don't you? Sometimes I'm afraid of my own feelings, so I hide them and I withdraw because it scares me, don't you? And when that's happening, sometimes the way I show up is disconnected and not genuine, don't you? Now I can see that it's an observation. It can be a valid description. It's not the only one. It's one of many, 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 many dots. I have to step away from the dots to see the whole picture of my life. So why attack the gentleman who is delivering one of the dots of truth? Thanks to the home delivery service of the friendly universe. Because otherwise it's a way of making a mountain out of a dot. Then I can be mad at the mountain. No learning. Stuck. So I look for what tweaks me. I use it as a compass to find gold. Because typically it will show me the place where I'm focusing down, too far down. I keep in mind, though, that other people's opinions will often reveal as much about them as it does about me. But I'm not focusing on that, right? I'm just looking at what tweaks me and what do I do? And I'm not saying that I should allow people's opinions to affect our happiness or unhappiness, or that we should agree with everything everybody says about No, we're just noticing where the gold is. Where is there room for boundlessness? You see, I like some of the stories that you have about me. Some of the stories you have about me, I don't understand. Some of the stories you have about me really tweak me, and vice versa. And all the time, they are all stories, dots, waiting to be joined for meaning. Here's how he closes the chapter. The imaginary lines with which we connect the dots are the bars of our imaginary prison. When we let them fall away, what remains is freedom. To disconnect the dots, there is nothing we have to do, since they were never connected. We can keep playing Where's Waldo and Find the Mind till we're convinced, and we can keep loosening our grip on storylines and opinions. Beyond that, the method is simple, pure perception, non-judgmental, unelaborated experience of the dots of actual experience in this moment, and this moment, and this one. So he's calling us back to the experience of witnessing, to see how much we can drop projected meaning. Wow, it really is the heart of how we pray. So I invite you to take a moment with me to breathe in. Exhale, letting your eyes close. And witness the moment. There is no effort to stop thinking, or to think something, or to feel anything, or to see anything. There's no force. And in this moment of gentle witnessing, we remember together the awesome power we have to project into creation all kinds of meaning of every description. I see good. I see beauty. I see compassion. I see opportunity to be involved and connect. I see that reality is boundless and free. I see endless potential. And through this prayer, we are remembering together that it all is effortless. There is no force of will, no coercion, no urgency. We drop it. And we remember that spiritual law responds to us, so that through our seeing this way, we are established in a world of the meaning that we have created. I'm remembering this ability to create as my way, our way of contributing to a world in which people remember their power too. And I'm giving thanks. I'm approaching this whole prayer experience with adventure. I'm now expecting to see reflected back to me this impression I have placed upon divine law. Where is that compassion I see? Where is that oneness I see? Where is that goodness I have projected into being? I'm fully expecting it to reflect back to me. And I'm fully expecting to be an agent for its expression in this world. I give thanks for this, and I let it be. And so it is.